Good morning. I am Jenny from Jennie Reads, and today I am lucky enough to have a quick interview with Leslie Piggott, who is one of my favorite mystery writers and works with Indies United Publishing House. Now, you all know the saying, if you want something done, find a busy person, and Leslie has got to be the busiest person I know. She lives here in Texas, like me, with her husband and two teens, and she's published 8 books, but number 9 is right around the corner. She has a doctorate in the field of biomedical sciences, and she's also worked as an adjunct professor teaching microbiology. But just in case you're worried about the other side of her brain, she's also an artist, creating watercolors, knitting, quilts, sewing, and volunteer extraordinaire at her kids' school, family, church, community organizations. And just to keep things interesting, as a hobby, she runs marathons. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
There's better hobbies, you know.
Have you heard the joke? How do you know if someone's a marathon runner?
No, how do you
Don't
know?
worry, they'll tell you.
Okay. Well, it's something to be proud of. I mean,
Some work.
yeah. I've done some 5Ks, but that's as adventurous as I've been.
My favorite are the people that are like, I've done a 5K marathon. And I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. No, that is not a marathon. That is a good old turkey trot, is what that is. Okay, so let's get down to the business of your books. So, what was the first inspiration to create Cari as your main character? And how did you decide on her personality traits?
So I wanted some characters in the book that were sort of scrappy, imperfect, people that we can relate to, everyday people. They're not superheroes. They're not, genius or some sort of photographic memory that they're never going to forget something or be late for something or maybe make the wrong choice, or deliberately do something unethical, or, maybe morally questionable.
Mhm.
One of my favorite series to read is Sarah Paretsky's V.I. Warshawski, partly because sometimes the books are set in Kansas, which is where I grew up. But her main character is a private investigator, and her main character will often collaborate with a journalist. So when I wrote the first book in the series, I was trying to decide, am I going to make the journalist the main character or the detective? And I guess almost every mystery series you read, it's either a private investigator or FBI agent or detective that's the main character. And I thought that my series could stand out if I used the journalist instead of the investigator.
Yes. Yeah, I like that Cari's the lead. I mean, I love Genevieve also, but yeah, Cari adds her personality enters into her investigations, which is a big plus. So when you're creating these mysteries, there's a lot to keep track of. Do you have any go-to methods or tools that you use to help you keep track of the clues that you're leaving, the red herrings you might be putting in there, things like that?
So I outline every book by hand in a notebook or on note cards before I start typing anything. And I'll read through that, and I'll actually go back to it every now and then if I feel like I've kind of gone off a little bit from my desired result. And then I keep a notepad in front of me. And so if there's something that's maybe not in my initial outline that I'm like, oh, this would be a good twist, or this would be a good, fake clue, or something that doesn't pan out to be productive in the investigation, I write that on the note card so that later, when I'm just using my outline, I'm not like, oh wait, I said that we found a license plate, but then I never talked about it again, So so it keeps me on track a little better.
So you are obviously not a pantser.
No.
Yeah, and I think good mystery writers are not. That planning kind of helps me.
I've always been a very type A person, so I like making lists. So that works well for me. Plus, I also really like colored pens, so I outline each chapter in a different color. I don't know that it actually makes it better, but it is more fun.
Yeah, and it probably looks pretty too. So So we're in book 9 now, soon to come out. I know that you've used a few little personal things, but what is in the book that comes from your real experiences or were inspired by something you did that you brought into the series?
There's a few things. So the biggest thing I would say is the grandmother character. My main character, Cari, has a grandma that she calls grandmother, which one of my reviewers said that that was so outdated to call her grandmother and that I should have never done that. And I was like, and they're even from the UK. And I was like, what do you call your grandma? Like, sorry. So but anyway, I had two grandmothers that were very involved in my life. One that lived just a mile from our house, and another that lived a state away, but came like 5 or 6 times a year with my grandpa, of course. But just somebody I used to talk to them on the phone regularly and about all sorts of things. And they would come visit, and we would go see them, and the having that character and that connection is kind of a way that I honor their memory. And they my second book in the series, Forsaken Talents, it came out in early 2023, and in between when I started writing it and when it was released, I actually lost both grandmas in that 5 month period. So I dedicated that one to them. The other kind of smaller thing, the fourth book is The Mystery of Spectre Island, and it takes place somewhere different from the first three and subsequent books as well, in a town in Wisconsin. I made up the town, as I have done with pretty much every place they go. It's not real because then I don't have to sit there and look at a city map and be like, oh, does Phillip Street cross with Grand, or is it a dead end? Like maybe it is. You don't know because it's not there. So I can do whatever I want with that. And so I sort of copied the setting of this town called Bayfield in Wisconsin, and it sits right on the Lake Superior. And my husband and I went there for a vacation without kids, and they were at camp. And it was really fun. And we went kayaking, and you can actually the tide of Lake Superior has carved out caves that are big enough that you can get your whole kayak in and turn it around. So I used that. Actually took a picture from inside the cave, and that's the cover of the book. Because I'm a DIY kind of person. And I used the setting to make the mystery, and this kind of thing to recognize that experience, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Or you got to plan some more vacations to figure out where Cari goes next.
Well, I'm thinking about having her go to Hawaii at some point, so I think Brad should definitely look into making that like a more realistic experience.
Yes, definitely. Put that on your list.
We can write it off. Work-related expense.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll work totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you do a lot of interaction with readers and a lot of reaching out through social media. What's one of the most memorable reactions you've received from readers about the series or a particular plot twist or something?
So two things. One that was sort of just really made my day, back to my grandma's. One of them, she had a hospice nurse that sat with her most of the day, the last month or so of her life. And at one point when I called just to chat with her, the hospice nurse answered the phone because she wasn't out of the bathroom or whatever yet, and so I talked to her for a moment, and then my grandma got on the phone, and then the next time I called, she was like, I told the hospice nurse she was so excited that she got to talk to you because I gave her your book to read, and she just loved it. And she squealed and was like, oh my goodness, I talked to a real author.
Oh, that's cool.
So the other is talking about interacting with readers. I, in an effort to get more reviews for my book, or all my books, I have a contest, and anyone that reviews the book within, like 6 to 8 weeks of when it comes out, gets their name entered into my contest. And if I draw their name, then there's a character in the next book that I name after that person. And it's been kind of fun. One of the first people to win still shows people the book that his name is in and is like, this is my book, So
That's cool.
very fun.
Yeah. Anybody not want to do that?
I have, well, like sometimes I wonder if there's people like, I don't want my name in it. And so I'll say, if you want to come up with a different name, like upon approval, because I don't want Bodie McBoatface as a character in the book. But, and or I'll say like, if you've been waiting to review the book, the contest has ended. So now you're free and safe to be unknown, so.
Right. Yeah. 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 My name's been used in a couple books and sometimes it's nice. When I get killed off really quickly, that's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Every now and then I'll read a book that has a Leslie in it. It's pretty rare. And sometimes there's somebody that gets just totally mutilated, and I'm like, oh, rude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though they knew me before they wrote it, but.
Yeah. All right. So without giving too much away, I have to admit I have read 6. What is next for Cari in this next book being released? Remind me when?
January 29th.
Right.
So
okay.
My books usually come out on Wednesdays, which dates back to when IUPH was first releasing books. It was always veteran authors went on Wednesdays. And so I've just stuck with that for no other reason than that was how it was. So change is hard. The January 29th is also Kansas Day. A little known fact, unless you're from there. And so it seemed like a great date to pick. But for the last couple books, I've been sort of building up a crisis in Cari's sister's life, as well as her husband. Something with his job is amiss. So book 6 is all that's going to come to a head, and it's going to really be out there for what's going on.
Okay. And we're not losing any of the normal characters, right? Bob is back.
Yeah, Bob's still
Genevieve is there.
Genevieve, Alex is still grumpily there. So
I like Alex.
yeah, he's fun to I put some of his sense of humor is my husband's sense of humor, some cutting sarcasm at times, and he's supposed to come off as a little bit of a stooge, I guess, at times, that like I'm doing it this way because I'm doing it this way.
Right. Okay, it is NaNoWriMo, the month of November. Are you participating?
So since I'm kind of right at the edge of getting my book 6 polished, so I have in the past tried to start writing a new book while I am still formatting the finished book. It doesn't always go well because if you spend too much time away from the book that you're writing, you kind of forget what is in it. So you have to go back and read all of it. Not that that's terrible. Obviously, you should read it at some point, but it makes it a challenge. So I'm hoping this week is bananas with there's no school today because why go to school on November 4th or November 5th?
Didn't they just
never
have
go again?
Break?
I don't know. It's a break.
Okay.
Halloween is stressful for some people apparently, and so you have to take 5 days off after that. So, and then my kids have their first fall play together Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we have family coming Wednesday. So I might get nothing done this week, but
that's okay.
Plugging along.
That's okay. All right. Well, we look forward to number 6.
I do have book 7 already outlined, so it's ready. It's ready to get started, but I have to outline it so that I can put the blurb in at the end of the previous book. Because otherwise, if you just sort of throw something together and then you haven't really mapped it all out, you're like, oh well, I said it was like book 5. There's a barbiturate that is involved, and I just was like, oh, barbiturate, like that'll be easy to come up with. That was not the best choice I've had in life. Like coming up with one that would be effectively used in the manner I was planning to use it was challenging. So now I'm a little more prepared going into the end of one book before,
Experience is a good teacher.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So below this video on my channel will be links for Leslie's pages and all her books. So check that out. And thank you for spending some time with me today, Leslie.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for inviting me.
You're welcome. Take care.